maybe next UBCM, we as a board could rent a houseboat. We can all stay in that.
The mortgage is about a third of the cost that we pay for an individual hotel room.
Yeah. That's what I mean is if we get a houseboat for all of us. Even if it's an extra couple of barge. Let's bring the barge pants. Bring the barge.
Recording in progress.
I like that. I think that's a great idea. Let's look out the window.
We're going, yeah. We will be ready to start at 12:30, Chair.
Yep. Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order, Wednesday, August the 7th, 2024, for the Finance Committee meeting. I would like to start by acknowledging that we are gathered today on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tla'amin Nation, as well as all Coast Salish First Nations on whose traditional territories we have the honor to live, including my home on Paete, also known as the Sea Islands. We have an agenda before us. Changes anyone would like to propose? And if not, would someone like to move adoption of the agenda? Director Gisborne, Director Lennox, is there any discussion on the agenda? And none, I'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed, carried unanimously. We have minutes from the third meeting. Are there any changes or omissions or errors anyone would like to propose? If not, would someone like to move adoption of those minutes? Director Gisborne, Director Lennox, thank you. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? None opposed, carried unanimously. We have no delegations as far as I am aware, or there's a delegate. Is there a delegate? No. Okay, sorry. That was. I just saw that. I didn't see who it was, but I believe it was staff. So no delegations, no unfinished business. We have one item of correspondence. Would anyone like to make a motion related to that one? And if Director Brander.
Thanks, Chair. I would just like to make a motion that we have staff respond to Mr. McMahon.
Second.
Okay, Director Gisborne seconded. Is there any discussion on that motion to ask staff to respond? Director Gisborne?
Yeah, I support the motion. Mr. McMahon has put forward a number of questions. I'm just wondering when these questions are answered, can those questions also be shared with the board? Just so that as other questions come forward, we can also help share the information.
Okay, thank you. Corporate Officer, would that be safe to assume? Director Gisborne asked if we pass the motion to ask staff to respond, will the board receive a copy of that response?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We can do that through a director's notification.
Okay, thank you. Okay, is there any other discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I will then call the question. All those in favor? None opposed, carried unanimously. Thank you for that. So we're on to reports. So we have the only report we have, financial assistance for shoreline cleanup events with a staff recommendation. Director McCormick. Oh, your recommendation. Okay, so Director McCormick's moved the recommendation, and is someone seconding that? I can't see the screen.
Director Lennox.
Oh, Director Lennox. Thank you. I'm trying to manage my my screen here. So, is there any discussion on this item? Director Gisborne and Director McCormick. Director McCormick first, I guess, if you had your hand up. Did you?
What, did you see me at home? Oh.
And then Director Elliott, and I don't know if Director Gisborne had his hand up. So Director McCormick.
I'll go third.
Okay. I don't think it matters.
Sorry, am I to speak? Is this my
turn?
Do
you have your hand up to speak?
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
But I don't know. I don't know if I was first or not.
Well, you made the motion, so
anyway, yes. Thank you. Speaking to the motion, I believe that it's really important that we reestablish this program because, you know, when you live in an area composed of islands, of course, the entire boundary of Area D and E is shoreline. So it's pretty important to us. And I think it sends the right message to the public. So I support the recommendation moving forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Elliott?
So my question is, I totally think cleanup is the way to go. I think we want to do it on a regular basis because you can clean it up and it will still be messed up again the next day. My question is this proposing an increase in annual taxation for everybody in all regions, or how does the extra $10,000, is that coming in addition to, like, increase taxation.
Mr. Schwab, I see you there. Or sorry, Mr. Cohenhoven, are you on the call? Or is he? I don't see him there. So I'll direct it to Mr. Schwab. Maybe he can help us here.
Thank you, Chair. I'll direct it to Mr. Cohenhoven. He is on the call and he does have his hand up.
Oh, he is on the call. I'm sorry about that, Jason. I can't. Oh, there you are. You're over on my left for some reason. Okay, Mr. Cohenhoven, the floor is yours.
Thank you, through the chair. So in the current year, the reallocation of funds does not result in any tax increases. We're just working with the money we already have and shuffling it from one project to another. The second part of this motion about adding 10,000 of annual funding, it will increase taxation. That's how this program is funded, is through the Waste Management Service tax requisition.
Thank you. That's your question. So CAO?
Through the chair, I'd like to add to Mr. Cohenhoven's response in that it does not necessarily need an increase. That all depends on the board's desires and wishes as to what service levels they want in this service. So simple math says by adding an additional $10,000 to it, yes, taxes will go up. But if you want service levels to be spread out or go down, then that $10,000 could be parsed throughout that budget, and then you would see whatever comes out. But I think it's a little premature to be asking questions like that right now, because we don't even know what the cake mix for the budget in this particular service will look like come fall.
Thank you for that. Director Elliott, does that answer your question?
Mostly. So what, for the average taxpayer, what would the increase be spread across everybody?
Well, we don't have our manager of financial services here, but Mr. Cohenhoven.
Thank you, through the chair. I don't have those numbers in front of me. I see our manager of financial services, if I may redirect.
Oh, okay, there's Ms. Greenan. So Ms. Greenan, maybe you can help with this question.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Chair. Through the chair, if we just simply added the $10,000 to the budget, that would, based on the 2024 assessment values, that would mean about 12 cents per $100,000 to an average resident.
Thank you.
And I'll just add to that, I mean, we can work through the exact amounts as the budget unfolds. This is almost a placeholder, and we have had funding for this line item in the past. So it's, I think, I think that would be really good discussion to have when we get into the budget. Does that answer your question, Director Elliott?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Director Gisborne.
Thank you, Chair. Happy to see some of the questions that I was wondering about have been answered. Maybe I'm a little confused because I know we were trying to do a different process where we do questions and answers before we get a motion on the floor, but now we have a motion on the floor. When I read the report, I got some reservations. This is a tax increase, $10,000. I look at it in terms of per capita, so that's roughly 50 cents per person for our region. If you take a look at page 2 of 5 on our report, you will see the ocean plastic recycling flowing chart, which starts with a cleanup type of everything from commercial and industrial, individuals, organized beach cleanups, and so on and so forth. And then there's the self-haul, which is the material transport depot, and then QRD has the Ocean Plastics Depot, Material Transport to Processor, and Ocean Legacy Foundation Processing Facility in Richmond. This $10,000 allocation, which, let's be honest, it'll most likely go up in future years because that's how finances work. It's essentially adding into that second column, the Coastal Cleanup Initiative. And the reason why I have a challenge with supporting this issue is, yes, there is pollution showing up on our shores. Yes, it is coming from the ocean, and it seems to be getting worse every year. But the oceans are not regional district jurisdiction, they're federal. And what I find very frustrating is that the oceans and the garbage that comes up from the ocean, which is federal jurisdiction, is then essentially, okay, let's start funding it from the local taxpayers that are at the shore. But the other regional districts that don't have Shoreline aren't expected to be taking on this cost. At last month's meeting, we asked for a staff report about the cost of increased downloading from senior level governments. I really think that the federal governments and the provincial governments need to step up more to deal with the waste that's showing up on our shores. I think they can do that through a variety of methods. I think they can support nonprofits. And for the Coastal Cleanup Initiative, in the staff report, it also says that to support these nonprofits and other groups that want to go out and do beach cleanup days, we can do that through our grant and aid system. Passing this motion leaves that decision of who to support on a first come first served basis, and it's up to the discretion of the manager of, I believe, environmental services. I think that can result in some perceived politicization, and really I think the funding should be coming from the senior level governments on this file. I am very concerned with the garbage that is showing up on our shores, not just from the ocean, but also in our lakes. So at this time, I actually don't support this motion because, the things that we've discussed in the past about increasing downloading from the province and from the feds. I think the system that we have right now, which is we have free drop-off, I don't think we should be paying through the solid waste management service for the shoreline cleanup initiatives. I think we can do that through grant and aid, but we should also make that contingent on pressuring the senior level governments to also be providing funding for these organizations and institutes and various community groups. That's my initial thought. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director. Is there anyone else who hasn't spoken yet? I'll put myself on the list, Director Lennox.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And I appreciate the comments of the other directors and the points Director Gisborne raised. I do think that there's a bit of downloading here. Unfortunately, in my mind, the decision is whether to continue using grant and aid service in a kind of one-off effort, and which can be political in and of itself as well, I guess, or to follow staff's recommendation of including in the solid waste plan. I think we also have to realize that there's downloading occurring because we've got volunteers out there doing some incredible work on behalf of everybody in the province, cleaning this stuff up. And, I also wanted to note and appreciate our staff's work with these groups in particular, because there's been some timing issues and sort of a bit of a gap there, and they're trying to respond appropriately here to, I think, to both the immediate needs and then looking to the future. And I think our CAO has brought it up that it is a bit of a placeholder. We're not sure what we're looking at into the future. And I think it's up to us to continue lobbying senior levels of government to include this in their overall plan. So I support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lennox. And I'll add myself on the list. Well, I agree actually wholeheartedly with the comments of Director Lennox. There is downloading of this, no doubt about it, or at least not uploading. The feds should step up to the plate and help us out. On the other hand, and I actually fully support any advocacy efforts that we have. And we have done advocacy to the province and the feds related to polystyrene and docks and so on. So I think us continuing on that practice would be good. But we are a regional district with a lot of oceanfront. Maybe we have, we're probably in the top 4 or 5 RDs with oceanfront. And I think it's really incumbent on us to take care of that. That's one of our assets. Other inland RDs have maybe lakefronts, or maybe they have alpine meadows or other issues that they deal with. So I think ocean plastic is an issue, and it fits in our operational stream and our solid waste plan. We have this relation, or at least this flow and I'd like to show appreciation for staff for the nice report and the clarity and the flow diagram and the roles of the different organizations and ultimately arriving, debris arriving at Ocean Legacy Foundation's processing facility. So I think for us to play our part in ensuring as much of that debris on the shoreline doesn't degrade there, leveraging all the volunteer efforts. This is almost all done by volunteers. The vast majority of the cost is actually downloaded on the shoulders of volunteers, not taxpayers. 50 cents a person isn't much compared to the people who go out there for several days or even weeks cleaning up and in the debris on the shore instead of enjoying other days in the summer. So I think us playing a role there and helping support that and making it as streamlined as possible and keeping it as part of our waste management stream. And I don't disagree with the idea of reviewing later if the amounts go up, that we review how the funding is provided. But I think I think it's measured, and I think the staff report's well thought out, and I fully support it. Director Brand, did I see Director Doubt have his hand up, or is it Director Brander? Director Brander.
Yeah, me, Chair. Thank you. I'll just be really quick about it. I want to thank Director Gisborne for his comments about the downloading, that the feds should be stepping up. But I agree with what has been said, that we've got a good group of volunteers and we should be supporting them. I'm happy to keep it where it is in the solid waste management plan versus the grants and aid program. So I'll support the motion.
Okay, thank you. So any further comments? Okay, Director Gisborne.
Yeah, very convincing arguments from other members around the board table. I still do have a bit of a challenge with the silo that it fits under solid waste management, especially after all the discussions that we've had around, making financial cuts to the service and, asking for increased tipping fees, so on and so forth. And it seemed like several months ago, our attitude was, okay, well, let's try and get our finances and our tax requisition down. And now we're turning around and increasing the tax requisition. Yes, it's for a good cause. Yes, we do need to support the volunteers in the shoreline cleanup. That's why I would actually support option 2. But, really, as I believe was said, we are actually one of the regional districts that has the greatest amount of shoreline. And what makes this very different from a lake is that, in a lake, the garbage that shows up on shore came from that lake. For our shore, it can come from Malaysia, it can come from Singapore, it can come from China, it can come from the freighters that are dumping their garbage in the ocean. And the jurisdiction to get control over that, as in relation to freighters that are coming into our waters and dumping garbage, or, trade relations where these kind of issues are being dumped in the oceans, are at the federal level. And I don't support taking on those costs at a local government level. We have one of the greatest shorelines, and I don't think it's appropriate for our taxpayers to be to kind of be saddled with that burden. I do believe that this should be supported. It should be supported by the federal government, and it should be done by supporting these nonprofits and the volunteers that are out there. So I would support option 2. Maybe I'm just a little frustrated. I think we could have clarified by having a question period before going straight to a motion. But
okay, thank you for that. Is there any other comments before I call the question? Oh, Director McCormick.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think this is too important to not do. The public expectation is that we are going to show leadership in environmental issues such as the shoreline cleanup. It's part of our strategic plan that we move in these directions. Going to a grant and aid system is really an ad hoc thing. Every year, you don't know, what, really important social projects will come forward that we need to fund. What if there isn't any money left in grant and aid? I think it's too important to leave that to the kind of the whim of the budget of the day. I think it needs to be etched into what we do and how we do it. And, downloading is going to be really hard as we, explore this issue further. What about environmental studies that didn't exist before? Is that downloading? We now have to do this work when no one was doing it previously. I think downloading is going to be really hard to define. And in this case, in this situation, this is too important. If it is downloading, well, you know what? I'll add it to the list of other things that we now have to do, but these are important things and we need to move forward and we need to make that positive decision to do that today.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Okay, seeing none, I will then call the question on the motion on the table, which is the recommendation in the agenda. All those in favor? All those opposed? One opposed. Director Gisborne, it passes. Thank you. No new business on item 9. Question period. Is anyone in the audience or reporter, Mr. Galinsky, are you there?
I am here, Chair. Thank you very much. My question pertains to the correspondence item that was brought up earlier in the meeting from Mr. McMahon. I was copied on the original correspondence from Mr. McMahon to the regional district. I am wondering if I am able to procure a copy of the response to Mr. McMahon from the regional district.
Officer?
Yes, thank you, Chair. That would be, we would be able to do that.
We'll be able to do that. I believe it will be made available to you.
I thank you very much, Chair, for that response. That was my question.
Okay, thank you. Okay, on to an in-camera session. Would someone like to make the motion there? Director Gisborne, go ahead.
I'm here, I'll do it. That the committee move in camera, the meeting be closed to the public on the grounds that the subject matter to be considered relates to matters covered by the community charter under section 91K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a regional district service that at their preliminary stages in that, in the view of the committee, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the regional district if they were held in public, and end the consideration of whether a committee meeting should be closed under provision of this subsection or subsection 2.
Is there a seconder for that? Director Lennox, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? None, any opposed? None opposed. We're going in camera.
Yeah, I know. I'm out of shape, George.
Yeah,
Recording in progress.
30. Got an hour for some chicken of the sea sandwiches.
I don't know where I put it now.
We good to wrap it up, corporate officer?
Yes.
We're missing one.
Okay, we're missing one. I'll
think
wait
he just
till,
I think he went shopping.
Can we still adjourn?
Yep.
Yeah. You can still adjourn.
okay, yes. So we're back in the open session of the Finance Committee meeting. We are adjourned.
You know, if enough of us walk out, then we don't need to adjourn because we lose quorum.